good afternoon, everybody, or nighttime, or whatever time it is where you are in the world. I am Tim Sohn with Sohn Social Media Solutions, and we're here for the Tim and Jim show today. And I'm here today with Jim Fuse. Take it away, Jim.
Good afternoon, everybody, and we are excited to have Sphoorti with us today. And Tim, why don't you tell us, since you invited her to be our guest this week, a little bit about Sphoorti?
Yeah, so I'm really excited to have her here today. Sphoorti and I met at Social Media Marketing World.
Yes, we did.
Many great talented people, so we're very happy to have her here. She is a PR and content marketing specialist she helps business-to-business tech companies grow brand relevance and trust through simple, effective messaging. She is fluent in traveling solo, eating sushi, and dancing at the drop of a beat. So will you be dancing for us today, Sphoorti?
I wouldn't mind, really. If you have music or if you can just like beatbox, I can just like do some moves right here. So I'm okay with that. So no problem. But I do want to thank you guys for inviting me. It's such an honor, and I look forward to this talk.
Yes, and once again, thank you so much for being here, and thank you all of those of you who are watching the show. We really appreciate you being here. Let us know where you're watching from. If you have any questions, please put them down in the comments. I'm sure Sphoorti will be happy to answer any questions you have. So today we're talking about using public relations and content marketing to maximize your marketing funnels. So let's start out with our first question.
Perfect. Great. So I'm just going to jump right in now that we have done with the introductions. So when it comes to why it is important, right? Why it is important to tell your story and prove its credibility in today's digital world. So let's begin with what exactly makes up good marketing, right? So what happens with good marketing is that it is all about making your brand visible. It's all about putting right content in front of the right channel, in front of the right people. So in that sense, every content that you put out becomes a digital representation of your brand. Okay, now the problem comes when you want to use that content to cut through the noise. Basically, the problem is twofold. The first one is the increased use of technology, and the second one is the democratization of media, right? So what has happened because of the explosion of the easy access to social channels and the popping of every social media channel just coming every second, these two things have made the media landscape and by extension of that, the audience that interacts with other brands or other people on the channels. So the media landscape and the audience, they both have become fractured. So what would have been true, let's say 10 to 15 years back, when it came to one single media having a lot of influence over someone's media coverage or media visibility, that is not the case anymore. So you cannot rely on one single media channel to influence outcomes or change customer behaviors, really, since people believe people, and now that it's very easy for them using social media channels and online outlets to really ask for help and reviews. So this basically gives us way into understanding why it's important to use both of like public relations and content marketing together. So let's first of all just do a very quick review of what the objectives of public relations and content marketing are for, in general for the companies. The goal for content marketing is to generate leads, and that is by producing helpful content and educating and nurturing the, the clients and the target audiences. Whereas PR, when you think from a media relations point of view, is about earning media coverage, right? But when you think about the end goal for both of these, let's say both of these different disciplines, which is content marketing and public relations, the end goal is the same. which is to shape the brand perception of a particular company. Yes, you do control the message when it comes to content because it's coming from your own media. And when it comes to media relations, the part of public relations, it's much more about getting that third party validation or authentication. So although their strategies might be different when they're trying to achieve their objectives, the end goal is the same. So that's why we can actually use PR to build that brand reputation and use content marketing to sustain that brand reputation to new heights.
I think too, Sphoorti, isn't it true that when you do public relations and content marketing together, you can also schedule your content. So say you're sending a press release out to the media, at the same time, you could be focusing on that same thing in your social media content, right?
You are absolutely right, Tim. I definitely am going to explain a little bit more about that, but you are definitely hitting the mark there. It really makes the whole brand messaging cohesive and unified, and you really don't have to worry about if there is any leak or gap in how you are presenting yourself, not only to your internal stakeholders, let's say employees and vendors, but also to external stakeholders, let's say industry leaders and influencers, your target clients or current clients. Yes.
Well, and I think too what you said. It reminds me of, I just saw, I think, a story yesterday. Jen Herman was talking about how this girl had 2 million followers on Instagram and attempted to sell a shirt, and it was a complete failure. But I don't think she had a message. It's like, oh, because I have a lot of people follow me, they'll automatically just buy what I have. And I don't know that she had really been providing anything of value other than, pictures of herself doing different things.
No, I definitely agree. Yes. I mean, just going back to the problem of democratization of media, or just like the increased use of technology in our lives, right? What's happened is because it's very easy access and people have a voice of their own now and they can get millions and millions of followers. They think just pushing content marketing or just promoting on social media is going to be the end of it. Like PR is not required, and again, PR is not just media relations, it's much more than that. But for this talk, we'll just focus on media relations. But I do agree, if there is no value, if you're not really listening to your target audience, if you're not understanding what's working for your competitors and revising your strategy according to that, even if you are an influencer, let's say like this girl was, it's really not going to go anywhere.
Right. You want to take the next question, Jim?
Sure. So, Sphoorti, what are some of the common misconceptions about using content marketing with public relations?
So just to bring up, we were talking about this like a couple of minutes back, is that when people, there are brands that I've seen, and it's very apparent also when you're looking out, is that when you have content marketing and social media, let's say, brands do not consider PR as a very important aspect of your marketing outreach in general and just business growth. What they think is that because they have content and they're producing content on a very regular basis and promoting it on social media, PR is not needed. So that is one of the things. Now, what that leads to, unfortunately, is less visibility and less credibility. So in terms of less visibility, what is happening is because we have so much data coming, so much content is just popping up every single second. What's happening is that your content is getting lost and you need to cut through that noise. Another thing is about credibility, right? So let's say I want to sell shirts and I have followers like this girl. But I'm selling shirts and it's coming from my channel, right? There is no one else other than me who is validating or who is saying that, yes, what this female or what this lady is selling is really good quality. It's going to stick with you for years and years. There is no third party authentication or third party authority that's chiming in. So that's one of the misconceptions. The other misconception really comes that PR is just an outbound marketing channel and it doesn't really play any role in inbound marketing funnel, which is really wrong. And I think I would like to talk about this much more when we are discussing the strategies next. The other one I think would be that, I think this is the last one in the case, is that even when they want to use content marketing with PR, they just use it as a media relations. And PR right now is so much more than that. It has community relations, corporate social responsibility, reputation management, press relations, and there is just so many other aspects to it. Just to give you an example, really, Mint is one of the most popular personal financial apps out there. And although they have very, very good blog, and the content that they have on their site is amazing, it was basically found that they had to use media coverage to really propel themselves and get more visibility to reach the heights that they wanted to reach in terms of getting users and getting people from them. So once they actually got coverage on Gizmodo and Lifehacker, they actually had a lot of traffic back from it. They had a lot of results from it, and that really turned into like a momentum that created Mint as a very well-known brand.
And I agree with you, Sphoorti, that a lot of brands or even small businesses, they don't focus on PR because they either don't think about it, especially smaller businesses, or like they don't think they're going to see results from it. But even I work with a lot of small businesses, and I write press releases for them. And in local markets, especially, press releases are especially important.
Very much.
Right?
Yeah, very much. I was going to say that later as well, but I know some people will give me some flack, but I hear people saying press releases are dead, they're dead, don't use them, But in my point of view, yes, they are not as powerful as they used to be, maybe, but they still have power. We just need to use that power. And, as you said, really, they really can become a weapon or a strength for you.
Right, and I even see you still have a large segment, and I don't even know if we can really identify that is not using social media. And so they will see the press releases. There are still people that read, print where a lot of this stuff is done, or it might be on a radio station. Not everybody has satellite radio or a Pandora and doesn't listen to other things. So I think that's a great point. And so, I think traditional media has changed, but I wouldn't say that it's dead.
I completely agree with you. It's another thing, really, when you think from their point of view, let's say small businesses who really don't think PR, unfortunately, they are struggling with low resources and budgets, right? So they just see social media. They see how other brands are doing very well on social media. Let's say their competitors, or let's say someone else who's done the same thing as them. And they see that people are writing about blogs, and they kind of like soak that up from their environment and think that this is working for other small businesses, even if they are not from the same verticals. So they just go for this very easy thing because, again, content marketing is a channel that you own. The content on your website, the content that goes on your social media, that means that you are the one that's controlling the message, even though it is going out with good intentions. Let's say it is very helpful, it is very relevant, it's not spammy, or it's not really promoting the product every now and then.
Right. Yeah, those are really good points. So what are a few powerful ways to integrate PR and content marketing together for better marketing results?
I'd love to get into this. Okay, so this the first one actually dates back to the one of the misconceptions that I talked about, which was people think that PR is just a outbound marketing channel and not inbound. So I'm just gonna give you an example, right? Let's say a journalist comes across a contributed article which is written by your CEO or CMO, okay? And she really likes it, and she wants to use you as a resource or a source for for her next article. Now, because she doesn't know, let's say, about your brand, what she's going to do is she's going to go to the website, and she's going to try to do more research and see if this is the right source for her article. Now, imagine if the content that's on your website, right, the underlying brand messaging, let's say, or the tone of the messaging, or whatever you have there, versus what was written in the contributed article, they do not match. Like, they do not match at all. So what's going to happen here is there is this disconnect happening right now. So there are two scenarios that are going to take place. The first scenario is that she's going to see the disconnect. She's not going to think that you have your brand messaging or that you're an expert or you have, your messaging is basically confirmed or tied down or anything, and she's going to leave. So you basically miss out on the media coverage. The second scenario is that, she's still going to be okay with it, let's say, and then she's going to reach out to you, and maybe it might turn into a media coverage. But more often than not, what happens is that that particular journalist is going to leave, especially if they're from a very big publication, right? So you just missed out on that media coverage for no reason. You could have gotten featured, just for example, in Forbes, let's say, in Huffington Post, let's say, because your CEO or CMO write really well and they actually helped people through that article, but that did not reflect back on what was actually on your site. So just basically having PR outreach that you do as kind of like a magnet to attract all these industrial influencers and your clients, obviously, back to your site, is just amazing. It's just very, very helpful, and it's really targeted, and you really get through the funnel very quickly.
That's a really good point. I know a lot of businesses struggle just to keep their social media going, let alone updating their website on a constant basis. But that is a really good point, that you want to have a cohesive message between all your platforms as well as your website.
Yeah. And I think the underlying message really here would be that don't think of PR as just outbound, right? Like just to get media coverage. Think about how that media coverage can actually serve you in the inbound marketing funnel, right? Think about how you can leverage that PR outreach that you're doing or the media coverage you're getting as an asset for your content marketing, as an asset for your inbound marketing, and then really build that sort of like authority and brand image from that point on.
So it might also be a good idea to have an opt-in or irresistible offer on your website also.
Right? Yep. I agree. Definitely agree. And
irresistible.
Yeah, and then that leads me to the second strategy, which is just creating a synergy between the public relations and content marketing teams. So basically what happens is that content in general, right? So content in general is not self-promotional. It's more focused on the brand. It's about, how we can build that trust about our brand among our target audience, how we can help the target audience, how we can get them through point A to point B on the site and promote the product really. Whereas when you think about PR in terms of media relations, it's all about the market that you are in and the audiences which are interacting with that market. So the questions you would be asking here are like, what are the market trends? How are my target audiences interacting with my competitors? What are they talking about? What are my competitors doing? So when you basically create this sort of like a harmony between public relations and content marketing, what you end up with is a very, very 360-degree view of not only the market that you are in, the trends that are happening in the market, what's happening, what the people are talking about, what they're sharing, what they're consuming. And you can use these two pointers, right? Like what people are talking about and what the industry or where the industry is going, and use these two pointers to really inform and revise and empower your brand messaging throughout the content marketing funnel. And then you end up with a very clear and simple, concise brand messaging. So when you do that, that's amazing. And I think another thing that happens is because you are using public relations and content marketing together, you can actually be in a very good position where even if people come to your site, you can literally hand them like readily available content to consume, to use in their media coverage, or to just share on social media really.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And the next one would be the just collaborating with other people in your industry. So because public relations teams in general, they are on an ongoing basis just emailing and pitching and building relationships building relationships with industry leaders and media persons, journalists and bloggers. They understand what resonates with these people, the people who actually have influence, the people whose voice is actually heard. and followed through, you know. So because that basically happens, right, they can actually understand how to create content that resonates with them. So let's say, for example, again, right, what you can do is, let's say the content marketing and the PR team, right? So the content marketing can actually use the PR team's help to get resources for their, let's say, a white paper or an ebook, by asking them to write a small chapter for the ebook, or basically send them a survey and include that survey in that white paper or something. That will only happen because they have built that relationship through PR. Okay. And this basically achieves two things. Not only do you end up with a very high quality content piece which can promote itself really, and the other one is you build on those strong relationships by letting these people become a part of your brand's journey.
And 40, do you, I mean, when we talk about how's the quickest way to implement these strategies, are there places, because I think a lot of our viewers are like solopreneurs or very small teams, and they may not have this skill set. I mean, like, of course, as I always tell people, Tim is extremely good at public relations if they need help. But what is a good way for someone to get help with that PR piece of the strategy? Do you have any ideas?
Yeah, I definitely have ideas. One of them that I've definitely I want to talk about more is something called Twitter lists. So there is something. So Twitter, basically, of course, even if you have a company account or you have a personal account, there is a feature called list that every account has, and what you can do with that is very phenomenal. It doesn't require a lot of money. It takes like 5 to 10 minutes. So I'm just going to walk you guys through it. And if you want, I can share my screen also, because I've pulled that up, but I don't know if it will be, it can be seen very clearly. Do you want me to do that?
Let's try that.
That would be great.
Okay, great. So I'm just going to share the screen. Just 1 second, guys. Okay. Okay. Tell me when you see my screen. Do you see it?
Here
Oh.
we go.
Okay, awesome. Hello. Okay, do you guys see it?
Yes.
Okay, great, awesome. So I'm just gonna flip over to a different screen on my laptop. Just a second. Okay, great. So here, what you have to do is you are on my Twitter account here, right? Now, here you can, like on the toolbar of the tweets and following, there is something called lists here. Okay. In that, as you can see, I have 15 lists, and they are all, there is a lock icon there. That means it's a private list. You have an option to create public or private, really. So it's very easy to create list. You just have to go to your account and just say add or create a list. Now, I'm going to take an example of the Twitter influencers here, right? So when you open that list, what you see here is there are 44 members. What that means is that I've added 44 people or accounts who I think are Twitter influencers. Okay. So what that happens really is that now once you have this list, you don't have to go through or sift through the Twitter account or your Twitter newsfeed like the unending waterfall to find one single tweet by one single journalist to see what they're talking about. Okay. Because I have added these influencers in one single list, in one single place, I actually get to see how they're engaging on Twitter in real time. What are they sharing? What are they commenting on? What are they liking? What are they tweeting themselves? So this again again helps you like in twofold way. One is that you understand what type of content works with them and resonates with them, and second is that you can very easily just how do I say engage with them by just liking. So let's see, here the first tweet is there, Johnny Jet, right? So I'm just going to like this. Here I'm going to go down and like this again and like this again. So if you keep doing this, this is very inexpensive, takes only like 5 to 10 minutes of your time, maybe daily, but you end up engaging with them. And what that leads to is they get your name in their notifications that XYZ person liked my tweet or shared my tweet or commented on my tweet. And if you keep doing that on a continuous basis, just for 5 to 10 minutes every day, you will definitely have that sort of an opening to build a better relationship from a PR media relations perspective.
No, I agree. I use Twitter list quite extensively. In fact, I just followed you on Twitter, so hopefully you'll follow me back.
I will follow you back after this call. Thank you so much. So I'm just gonna stop sharing the just 1 second. Okay, great. Awesome. So I think we were on the building that influencer, like building the collaboration with other ones. The next one, I think the one that really needs to be said a lot is something called repurposing the owned and earned media. Okay, so owned means content marketing, and earned media is like whatever you get through media coverage or, basically PR outreach, really. Now, the marketers nowadays, what's happening with them is they are really struggling with two things. One thing is that even though they are, let's say, thank you so much for saying I'm a rock star, you are awesome, I love you already, but where was that? Yeah, so basically what happens is that they are facing issues. So the first one that they're facing is, even though, let's say, as a small business, let's say you are just focusing on content marketing, now you are producing very high quality content, let's say 10 blogs a month, which is amazing, right? Great. Now, when you take that as an example, what's happening is that even if you're creating that content, right, there is hardly any engagement on that content. And another thing is that because you have less amount of resources or budget, you are really struggling to repurpose or reuse that content. So that's basically the issues that content marketeers in general and the companies in general are facing nowadays. So when you actually use PR with content marketing, what happens here is that you actually can turn like a grain of sand into a mountain, really. So let's say you are doing media outreach and the pitch does not get any traction. You can turn that pitch into a blog post. You can literally use your survey insights, make that into an infographic, and use that infographic, pitch that again, and get a coverage, right? You can review your case study, or you can review a webinar that you have to get a pitch idea. You can literally gather 10 to 20 customer testimonials or reviews and make that into a blog post. So when you actually like use PR and content marketing together to repurpose, you have so much option, you have so many possibilities. It's crazy.
Definitely. And we could probably do two separate shows just about content marketing, or more than two. A whole series, Jim.
Yeah.
So thanks for that.
And I think just before we move ahead, I think the last one would be optimizing PR campaigns with content marketing. So let's say you have, again, press releases, right? We were talking about, if you want to use a press release, right? What you can do really is that if you can give it a digital makeover with the help of content marketing, let's say make the press release very skimmable, so like people can skim through it very easily. Let's say you add SEO rich, keyword rich sort of a format there. You add media like, images and GIFs and videos there, so that people actually, kind of like relate to it. And you make it more content marketing, with an angle of content marketing rules, in a sense that it is more thought leadership than just talking about your product in the press release. For example, you can actually turn that press release into a weapon or a strength, or just another tactic that really gets more eyeballs on your content. Another one, and the last one in this particular question segment anyway, would be that, let's say you have a PR announcement coming. For example, you have won an award, or you have a virtual summit, or you just have confirmed a partnership with someone else, right? Let's say a nonprofit has done some sort of like a partnership with someone else, right? So you can actually use content marketing to position yourself and create a buzz around that particular announcement leading up to that announcement date. So what that does is that instead of using it separately and not ending up with any engagement, really, you end up with much more engagement. You also can educate people about certain different issues that you don't normally talk about on your blog, let's say, because this is a partnership, that's a different thing. Or you can highlight people who are actually coming to your virtual summit and get more traffic, because those people who are coming to your virtual summit as speakers can also share that blog post. So there are so many ways that you can really use public relations with content marketing.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a bit in terms of analytics and how can we monitor and optimize using both content marketing and public relations in terms of KPI tools, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, great. So again, another part of having good marketing plan really is to not only understand what you need to say and who you need to say it in front of. It's also how you actually measure those results and make informed decisions for your next marketing plan on an ongoing basis, really. So when it comes to having certain set of key performance indicators, it really differs. I'm sure you guys also really agree with me here, is that KPIs are very ficklish. It really depends from a company to company based on their business model, based on what's their goal and their marketing goal, their resources. So what I'm going to do here now is that I'm just going to give very common set of KPIs that you guys can use once you actually do end up using PR with content marketing. And I hope you guys do, whoever is watching. So you can use this very common set of KPIs to really see if this campaign that you have created is successful or not. So the first of that KPI list is backlinks. So number of backlinks you get back. Whether it's from media coverage or an influencer has tweeted back at you and added you somewhere on their site. So that is one of the KPIs that you can do. Second one would be the social media engagement, right? Not only on your posts, okay, so whatever your social media channel posts are there, but also on the promoting post or like the promotion posts of the media coverage that you got. Okay, so let's say you got a coverage in one of the very niche industry outlets and they are sending out a tweet about the coverage that they did for you, right? So just going on that post and seeing who's basically talking about it, engaging with it, and then following up with those people differently. So that's another one that you can basically take care of. Then another one would be brand mentions, right? Because you are using PR in conjunction with content marketing, you will have a lot of opportunities to connect with influencers and customers. So just following how the brand mentions are done over by the influencers and customers, that's another KPI you can definitely monitor. Another one would be CTAs, the calls to action that you have on your site, and how people are actually interacting with it. Are they landing on the page? If you have put that CTA somewhere on your socials, are they clicking on it? How long are they staying before they click on it? So you have all these different very specific triggers that you can use for the CTAs. Definitely the next one is like newsletter signups, which is, I think, very common and very widely used. And next one would be the traffic, right? Website traffic. So if we take an example of small businesses, usually what happens for them is that their search and direct traffic are much higher than the social and referral traffic most of the time. So with this sort of campaign where you combine both of them, you can actually see if the socials and the referral traffic, they basically are growing or not. So that's a very good indication that people are talking about it and they are getting more eyeballs on it. The next one, the second to last one, would be reviews or the feedback or sentiments that you're seeing online about your brand by influencers or experts or stakeholders and customers as well. So when you can see how they're posting about you online, it really gives you an idea if you want to revise your brand messaging, if you want to change something in your inbound and outbound marketing funnel, so you can answer the questions that they are having or they are not sure about. And the last one, obviously, again, it's a very universal one. It's MQLs or marketing qualified leads. So if you have very certain specific actions that you define as, if some visitor is taking that action, you define that as an MQL, then are they taking that action and how often are they taking that action? So these are the KPIs. And moving on to tools, which is pretty much the last part of this talk right now. What I have done is I've come up with a very specific list of tools, and pretty much all of them are free except the last one, which is not that expensive, but it's pretty helpful as well. So I would really love to share this list with the people who are joining us, the amazing people. So can I put this in the chat, or do we send
absolutely.
them?
Just post it as a
Okay.
comment. That'd be great.
Okay, great. So I'll do this right now. Just give me 1 second. So, okay. Perfect. Okay. Okay, great. So what I've done here, just a second, guys. Okay, so I've sent this as a chat right now. If you can see, okay, they did not, they
Yes.
came in like a sentence, but I think people can see the space between them. I hope that you guys can see that.
Yes.
So I'm just going to go through them very briefly. You can definitely, I can, of course, answer questions if you have more questions about these tools. So I'm just going to go through them. So the first one is called Harrow. It is basically called Help a Reporter Out. What it does is it's an aggregator site, and it actually sends you a newsletter every day with requests for sources by journalists and bloggers. So these are the journalists and bloggers who are looking for sources, for quotes, for contributors for their articles. Okay, so I think the one backdrop for this, it is free. The one backdrop for this would be that the leads you get in that particular newsletter every day, they're not filtered. So in one single newsletter, you might be having some journalist from a dating platform versus someone who is a fitness geek versus someone who's like into data warehouse. So it's like it's not filtered, but it doesn't take that long. And the best part about Harrow in general is if you know that you have something to add to the conversation and you're the right person, and you find that right perfect lead, okay, it's very easy to really get back to the journalist with your quote. You just have to respond to their email. That's it. The email that is generated and it's already there in the newsletter. You just click on that email, reply back with your quote, with your insights, with whatever whatever that journalist wants from you. um, this not only it results in a good relationship, or at least you start a relationship with a journalist. And if everything goes well, you end up with the media coverage. The next one is called Similar Web. Again, this has one tool, like the website analysis sort of a tool, which is pretty helpful, and again, it's free. What it does is that it's kind of like an SEO tool, but I think this is very helpful for you because it gives you, in a very short amount of time, it tells you the visitors on particular site, the bounce rate, and where the traffic is coming from, what are the top pages, where are the people coming from. So all that jazz basically you can get. So not only if you're a small business and let's say you have a SEO tool, okay, but you can't add more than one site to it, let's say, for example, or you don't have a tool, what you can do is you can use that site to really understand how what type of traffic you're getting to your site. Not only that, you can check the publications you want to get with your PR and see what is their authority, like how much traffic they are getting, what's the bounce rate, and which is perfect. And then last one would be the competitors, right? So just getting competitors data and seeing how well they are doing compared to yours. The next one I think pretty much all of us know about is called BuzzSumo, which is a very amazing tool. It tells you which content is performing really good for a keyword or in a particular publication. And how you can use this for PR is that, let's say you want to target or you want to come in the Huffington Post, for example. When you put the URL of Huffington Post in that particular BuzzSumo site, it gives you the top content, the top performing content. Now what you can do is you can quickly go through those content pieces and see which type of content is actually performing really well, and you can kind of create that sort of a pattern and then pitch angles which actually are aligned with that. So you can have a higher let's say very higher chances of landing on that page. The next one is called Answer the Public. It is again a free tool, and I think it's one of my like favorite tools ever. And what that does basically is that it aggregates all the questions that people ask around the internet surrounding a keyword. So if you have, let's say, a keyword like fitness geek, for example, or non-profit donations, or any keywords that you have. So it will actually scour the internet and give you all the questions that people are asking. So this is great, not only for content, but for PR as well, because you understand what people are actually asking, what they're actually looking for online. And you can create that brand messaging, not only in your content marketing, but PR outreach as well. Another one is crystal slash mention. So there are two different ones. Okay, I should have basically mentioned that, but crystal slash mention. So crystal, what it does is that it's really wonderful. This is more about PR. So crystal has this sort of like a technology, the backend technology, which tells you how that person is online. So let's say you are a new company, you have no connections with media. So you go on their LinkedIn profile, you use this extension by Crystal. It will tell you that particular, it will tell you what that particular journalist likes, how they actually respond to emails, what do they like in a person who they don't know. Do they like you to be upfront? Do they like you to be conversational? Are they helpful? Are they very responsive? So it's very, very helpful if you're just starting PR. And mention is another very heavyweight name in PR, which just tells you about brand mentions and sentiments behind that. Feedly, again, I think is very well known. It's a content curation platform. So based on your interest, it actually aggregates all this data from particular publications and blogs, and you can keep up with the industry trends. Not only that, but you can also see which sort of stories are getting picked up by these publications, your target publications. The Yeah, pretty much the second to last one is something called share through headline optimizer. So it basically tells you how effective your headline is, and it is not only how do I say, it is not only limited to your blog post or your lead magnet sort of headline. You can also review your public relations outreach with this headline, like how much chance do you have with, if you add the subject line, like will they open the email, will they not open the email. They also tell you how you can actually make your headline much more effective. Is does it have a good engagement rate, or is it it grabs the attention. So that's very, very easy, again free. The last one is the one that is not free, but it's not expensive as well. It's called Autopilot HQ, and this is a marketing automation tool. Now it has a lot of features, but the one feature that I absolutely love is something called sales funnels, or like any type of funnel really. So now that you will start using PR with content marketing, and you will bring these people back from third party sites to your site, you can actually create customized funnels to take all these people through your site. So if that person has come from, let's say, a media coverage versus a social media, so you will have a different funnel for that. You will take them through a different funnel versus a person who's come from a social media versus a person who's come from email marketing. Okay, so that way you can actually have much more engagement.
Great.
That's amazing. And
Yes.
one of the things too, one of the little features that we use today, and thank you, Sphoorti, for being our first experiment, is StreamYard just recently updated the screen share, so the screen wasn't cut off at all. And so I think that's something that is really neat. Another thing I like about this program.
I definitely liked it. So yeah, I mean, these are my tools. And again, I am happy to take any questions. I think I would just like to maybe end this talk saying that, yes, PR is considered separate from content marketing. It has been considered maybe, and there are some brands who are now changing that way, or their ways when they approach content and PR. But just remember that brand growth starts from a conversation. And if you use PR as that sort of like an engine or a fuel to begin or like ignite that conversation, you can use content marketing to really sustain it and just go wild with it. So that's my ending notes, and I am happy to take any questions if anyone has any.
And if anybody has questions and catching this on replay, please put them in the comments, and we'll we'll make sure that we get you guys an answer. But no, just a wealth of knowledge, Sphoorti, and
Thank you.
so much for joining us today.
It was my pleasure.
Yeah, what's the best way for people to connect with you? Obviously, Twitter.
Yeah, so you can connect with me on Twitter, or even LinkedIn is fine. I think I can basically put my LinkedIn URL here in the chat. Is that fine?
Yes.
Okay. So you will have to bear with me while I open my LinkedIn now. So I think other than that, I think, yeah, it was really great. Thank you again, guys. It has been wonderful. And you guys really made me feel so comfortable and easy to talk to that I did not have any issues as such when it comes to live video in general.
Yes. Well, we blame that on StreamYard. They make it really easy. Really
good,
easy.
Good. I like that. I like that. I appreciate that, and I like that. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, Sphoorti, and thank you everybody for watching.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in and just being part of this. You guys are awesome, and I hope I was able to help you even a tiny bit and push you towards the right direction where you can actually grow your business with PR and content marketing.
Absolutely. I know I have a lot to do on PR, so.
You are welcome to. I'm literally. I don't mind sitting down with you again this week or next weekend. I have a lot of strategies. I can definitely send them your way, and it doesn't cost a dime from you.
Oh wow! Well, thank you. I'll definitely.
Yeah, definitely. It was fun and it was very, very good. Thank you so much, guys. You guys have a very good afternoon.
Thanks.
And I will send my LinkedIn this thing as soon as I get it.
Okay.
But otherwise, I think this is great.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Sphoorti. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Bye.
Bye.